Hello everybody. So, episode 4 of Outlander last night was very exciting. We actually got introduced to some new characters. We got to see a little more interaction between Brianna and Roger, which I'm going to get into that because that is going to lead into the next episode. And we also got to see the beginnings of Fraser Ridge. I am really excited for that, and I can't wait to see what the finished product looks like. So, before I jump into my thoughts and everything, I'm just going to go over the episode a little bit. So, at the beginning of the episode, we see that Jamie is finishing all the documents for the land that they're going to build Fraser's Ridge on, and he's talking to the governor about it, and you can tell there's going to be a little bit of tension between them, but overall, it's kind of a nice moment that he's finishing all the paperwork, all these documents are being signed, and they officially own the land. And meanwhile, Claire and Marsley are getting some supplies. So Marsley and Fergus are still staying in town because Marsley's pregnant. And this is actually a nice moment between Marsley and Claire because Claire's making sure that Marsley's okay, and she's definitely going to be there for her if she needs her. And Marsley actually confides in Claire that she misses her mother, and she kind of wishes she could be there with her. And Claire reassures her that it's all going to be okay and that she's going to do a fine job raising the child. So it was just a really nice moment. I love how their relationship has become like mother and daughter almost. Not entirely, but to the point where it's just this nice interaction between them. Claire is motherly towards Marsley, and Marsley looks up to Claire a little more than she did, so I like where the relationship's going. So, also Leary actually got a compliment from Claire, which I was not expecting. She said that Leary raised Marsley very well, so at least that was nice. And we're actually going to see Leary eventually, according to behind-the-scenes photos. I don't know which episode it's going to be in. Most likely in 2 or 3 episodes we'll see her and Marsley's little sister Joni. So, well, yeah, we'll see where that goes. Anyway, so Jamie and Claire and young Ian set off to the land. They're going to build the house and everything, so we get to see them starting like all the construction, like they're taking out the trees and all that, and they're staking out where they want certain areas to be. I actually really liked this scene because we get to see how things were done back in the 18th century, how architecture was built. It might not be 100% accurate, but in a way it seemed like it was pretty accurate. And I can imagine like this is how it was done at the time because you do kind of have to figure out like where you're going to put things and how you're going to stake out the land. So while they're doing that, they do have a little run-in with the Native Americans that are in the area, and they are the Cherokee Indians. I actually read that they were supposed to be a different group of Indians, but I'm sorry, Native Americans. I just rather call them Native Americans. But apparently, like, there's not much information left on them, and there's also not many of them left in general, which I thought that was really sad. But they chose the Cherokee because they were more likely to get their culture right. So I thought that was a good move, that they actually found people who could play the Cherokee Native Americans, and that they could get the culture accurate for the show, which I thought that was really good. So, we don't really understand what they're saying to them because they don't speak English yet. We do get to hear them speak English later, but right now they're looking at Jamie and his family as outsiders, and they're not too crazy about them being on their land. So, they're just kind of having the issues with them. But otherwise, they're building their new home, and suddenly there's a strange occurrence that happens one night. At first they assume it's the Cherokee, but then they later realize it must be a bear because the food is gone, things have been broken, and one of the horses comes back, and he has like bear claw marks on him, which I don't know what happened to that horse. Jamie mentioned something about losing a horse, and I'm like, no, did he die? But they never really clarify that, so I don't know. Hopefully it lived. Anyway, so basically they're dealing with a bear and they don't know what to do. And Jamie goes to visit John Quincy Myers at one point, and he's asking him like how he can make peace with the Cherokee. And he doesn't, like, he has some advice, but initially, like, John Quincy Myers is going to be the one to go and make peace with the Cherokee for Jamie and his family. So, yeah, they're going to trade tobacco, I think is what it was. And we don't see what happens with that. But another night, they wake up to the same occurrence. However, instead of finding like a bear, they find John Quincy Myers. He's been injured. He has the bear marks in his abdomen, and he's really badly wounded. So Claire and young Ian try to save him while Jamie goes to find the bear. He's finally going to just put an end to it. So while he's bear hunting, we see the Cherokee doing some kind of ritual, and we don't know if there's like a connection to this or not. So we don't know if the Cherokee like are calling on the spirits to attack the Frasers, or if it's just something that's completely not connected. We don't know what's going on at this point. But eventually Jamie finds a bear, and he tries to shoot at it, but he misses. And while he's trying to get another shot, he gets attacked by not a bear, but a man dressed like a bear, acting like a bear, basically a bear man. We'll just call him that. And so we don't know what's going on here, like if this guy is sane or not, and that's just like his, you know, sometimes they meet some kooky characters who act kind of weird, but they're good people on the inside. But apparently not the case with this guy. So he keeps attacking Jamie, and eventually Jamie manages to stab him and kill him. So he eventually brings the body back to the Cherokee, and they look like they're on the defense, like they don't know what's going on. And we learn that this guy was a Cherokee Native American. So this could either be really bad for Jamie or really good, because we don't know the circumstances. It turns out to be really good for Jamie because this man was banished from the tribe because he was very forceful with his wife and he didn't follow the laws. And he kept trying to come back, but they wouldn't let him in. Eventually he went deep into the woods and he lost his mind, and he basically took the form of a bear in his psyche. So he was causing damage to the Cherokee as well. So what Jamie did was he ended a lot of trouble for the Cherokee. So that was good. And that actually created some peace between them. So that was good. I originally read that it was supposed to be a real bear in the books, and I don't know exactly how that scene plays out. I can imagine like a real bear caused the same problems, and by killing it, he saved them the same trouble. But I don't know exactly why they made it a human, but maybe just, I'm coming up blank on this one. I mean, it works. It works the way they did it. I'm just trying to figure out why, but I think it's because they try to use as little CGI as possible in the show. So making it a man acting with the strength of a bear, like that saves them a lot of CGI trouble, and it still works for the story, so that's probably why they did it. Anyway, it's a good change. So eventually the Cherokee visit the Frasers. John Quincy Myers is healing, he's fine. And they make peace with each other, and they give Jamie the nickname the Bear Killer, which young Ian loves. And they invite them in to sit with them for a while. And Claire is approached by this woman and her husband's grandmother. And she tells her that the grandmother has had a dream about Claire. And supposedly it's like, you know how sometimes there's these metaphorical dreams and they have deeper meaning. So the woman had a dream that Claire was a healer, and eventually like her full wisdom and healing powers will come into play when her hair is completely white. And in a way she kind of earned the nickname White Raven from this. I think I read that somewhere. But I thought that's an interesting thing that we might see play out later, either in this season or another season. I'm not entirely sure where that follows in the books, but it'll be interesting to see Claire with white hair. But yeah, I liked how everything played out. Oh, and also there was kind of another thing that was a part of the dream saying to Claire, like, death comes and she will realize that it's not her fault, so something is going to happen. I don't know what, but they didn't go further into that. Claire was confused about it, but they just kind of left it. Yeah, they kind of left it at that, so I'm kind of nervous about that because I did not read about that part. I don't know if there was initially a warning about death. I don't know. But I know there will be things in the future that it could be referring to. So we'll see what it's referring to eventually, but for now, they make peace with each other, and it's nice. It's a nice moment. So another thing we get to see in this episode is Roger and Brianna. So we don't get to see too much of them in this episode. Like, we got more of them in the last episode, but this episode, it was more like them catching up, kind of, and it was still awkward between them. So what happens is Roger is back in Scotland. He's still thinking about all that went down with him and Brianna. And he finds the book that she gave him, and he decides to read it. And he finds something about Fraser's Ridge, which apparently is a grandfather's mountain now, I think is what it is. And he, writes a note to the author. He wants to find out more information. And eventually he gets his answers, and he finds all the information about Claire and Jamie reuniting and building a home there. So once he has all those facts, he gives Brianna a call. And it's obviously very awkward between them, but he tells her the good news that Claire found Jamie and that they went to America and they built a home. So Brianna, you can tell, on her face, she's very happy to hear this news. It's a sense of peace that's being brought to her because she was worried about it originally. So I thought that was nice of Roger. He redeemed himself a little bit from last episode. But there might be something he kind of does to undo that. But I'll get into that in a bit. Anyway, so yeah. They have that conversation. It's still this is the news I'm bringing you. But we don't have anything else to talk about, so goodbye. But I thought that scene was really nice. So later, Roger is back at the Reverend's house. He's getting the last of his stuff from Fiona, and Fiona mentions to him that she knew all along about the time travel thing because her grandmother was a big part of it. She knew all about the lore and all of that. And she overheard them talking about it when they were trying to look for Jamie all those years ago. But she mentions to Roger that she found some unfortunate news, that there was a fire at Fraser's Ridge, or I don't remember if it was at Fraser's Ridge or if it's somewhere that involved Jamie and Claire not making it out alive. So this is a big plot point because in the book, this is something that Brianna learns about, and this is what causes her to go back in time. So in this moment in the show, Roger realizes that he doesn't really want to tell Brianna this because he finally brought her some peace. He doesn't want to worry her. It'll only make things worse, is what he feels. And Fiona's a little hesitant, but she agrees. Anyway, so this is kind of what happened in the book, understandably so, but it's done a little differently, obviously. So eventually he tries to call, I think it's like a week or two later, I can't remember. But yeah, he calls like I think 2 weeks after he originally called her, and he gets a hold of her roommate, and she tells him that Brianna left for Scotland 2 weeks ago, and apparently to visit her mother. So what does that tell you? So this is basically the beginning of Brianna's time travel. And Roger pretty much knows what this means, and that's where the episode ends. And I think in the next episode we're gonna see how Brianna gets there, like what leads her to go back in time. Because obviously it's playing out differently than it did in the books. I don't know how she learns about the fire, but maybe she does some research on her own. Because I think in the book she was at least in Scotland when she learned about it. So yeah, I don't know. I still think there was still that scene where she goes to Frank's grave and she talks to him about something. So I think we're going to see that in the next episode. Maybe it's like right before she decides to go to Scotland to travel back in time. I don't know. But there's a lot coming up that I'm excited for. And I can't wait to see it all unravel. I'm so excited. But yeah, like, we're getting closer and closer to Jamie meeting Bree, and it's just so exciting. Because even though I haven't read the books, like, I learned about this a while ago, and I'm really excited to see how they do this in the show. Because it's an interesting journey for Brianna, how she gets there, how she meets Jamie, and then all that unravels after that. So, yeah, I can't wait for it. And I'm trying to think if there was anything else in this episode that I didn't talk about. I think I pretty much covered everything. Oh, one more thing. First of all, I love the Fraser's Ridge theme music. It's beautiful. I love that it's bluegrass music. It's very with the time, and it fits the moment so well. And we get to see them starting the cabin. It's almost done. Jamie carries Claire over the threshold, and they're just getting closer to building their home. So what happens is, like, this is happening while Roger is learning about the fire, and they don't exactly know what year it's going to happen because it's smudged at the end. I thought it was common knowledge that it was 1776 in the books, but maybe they learn that later in the books too, I'm not sure. But supposedly I think it's supposed to be that year. I'm not sure, but we'll find out. Anyway, it was a good episode. I really enjoyed it, and I hope you guys did too. I think we're in for a special treat next week. It looks like Brianna finally time travels, and I'm really hoping they end it where she goes through the stones. So yeah, I'm excited. Alright guys, I will see you next week for episode 5, where Brianna may finally time travel. Alright guys, have a good day, bye!